I'm not very good with what's behind. I'm always future-minded and running and what's the next thing. And I think that's good as well. But I feel the Lord is working something in me to say just from time to time, just pause and look back. And just like stock. So this morning we're going to take a little bit of stock and celebrate the year that's passed. And we are a few people. So this morning you're going to preach with me. Okay? So we're going to do a thing together, and I want you to work with me. So if you think back about the last year, if you think about 2025, what is the feeling, the overall sense of awareness do you have? Is there just the overwhelming sense, or the thing that comes to mind is the goodness of God and all the incredible places He took you and led you? Or that might be true for some people. And then some of us might have a thing, the overall sense might be, shucks, He didn't come through for me this year. I trusted Him for this or that, and it didn't happen. So we can sit here with a sense this morning of awareness of His goodness and His faithfulness in many areas, or we might sit here this morning, if we're honest with one another, some of us might have a think like, yo, I really hope that 2025 would have been a better year. I really hope that this or that might happen. And I think often it's human nature that we're often more aware of the things that is lacking or that didn't happen. We carry regret longer than we carry victory or disappointment. That thing tends to stick with us. If I look in ministry, if we work with people, if people come for counseling and we minister to people, we often see people that something in their past, a negative experience, something that didn't happen or something that happened that was negative, have a bigger influence or impact on their life in future than a victory. Verstaan wat ek probeer sê? It's often we hang on to what didn't happen or that was bad or there was a disappointment. It's got a greater influence, more impact in our lives going forward than victories. And it's easier for us to remember bad things. We tend to cling to that. We remember a lack of provision, something that didn't happen much more, or a sickness that didn't get healed. We tend to linger on that. And we tend to take other things for granted. If I'm healthy, I don't think much about my health. I'm not necessarily thankful about my health. Well, that's just normal. But if I've been through a tragedy in terms of sickness or pain or something, I remember that more often. So, and it's no different. David was just like this as well. So, Psalm 77, from verse 4. So this is David and reflecting upon his life. He writes the following: You hold my eyes lit open. I'm so troubled I cannot speak. I considered the days of old, the years long ago. I said, let me remember my song in the night. Let me meditate in my heart. Then my spirit made a diligent search. Will the Lord spurn forever and never again be favorable? Has His steadfast love forever ceased? Are His promises at the end of all time? Has God forgotten to be gracious? Has His anger shut up His compassion? Selah. So David is thinking back, and it feels like, Lord, where were you? I miss you. I have expectations that were not fulfilled. And then he comes to this conclusion, verse 10. And then I said, I will appeal to this for the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your wonders of old. I will ponder all your works and meditate on your mighty deeds. And this is what I want us to do this morning. That we're going to take a time to reflect on the past year. And remember everything that the Lord did for us in this year. And then as soon as he starts doing that, as soon as he starts pondering on what happened and the wonders of God, you can see his whole attitude changed. Your way, O God, is holy. What God is great like our God? You are the God who works wonders. You have made known your might among the people. You with your arm redeemed your people, the children of Jacob and Joseph. So God knew that sometimes that this is human nature, that if we think back, it's easier to remember the bad things than the good things. He knew that. And for that reason, he commanded these people in the Bible to remember things. He commanded them to put up memorials. He said this is what they should do so that they can remember the good things. Otherwise, we tend to forget them. So the first one, I think, is very well known. Genesis 28. It's where Jacob slept. Remember, and had this incredible vision, this encounter with the Lord, with the ladder and the angels coming up and down. So Genesis 28:18 in the Amplified. And then Jacob rose early in the morning, and he took a stone he had put under his head, and he set it up for a pillar, a monument to the vision of his dream, and he poured oil on its top. So he put up this memorial, a monument. Some translation speaks about a memorial. Verse 22, the stone which I have set up as a pillar, a monument or a memorial will be God's house, a sacred place. So for him to remember this encounter, he had to put up a memorial or a monument. So think with me. We see monuments. Why do we build monuments? It's to be reminded. It's to remember something. And mostly, we're going to get to it a little bit later on, but mostly a monument or a memorial is for somebody that will come that didn't have a first-hand encounter, so that they can remember. If you go down to the dam, there's a big memorial for the bus that crashed into the... Why is that? So that people in future can remember what happened there. So, because we easily forget the good things, the goodness of God, He commands us to have these memorials or places to remember. And hopefully in the service, we're going to do it in a small way today. We're going to try and build a little bit of a memorial to remember the goodness of God. Yeah, and then there's a very well-known story in Joshua 4. You can go and read for yourselves about when the Israelites crossed from the wilderness into the promised land. Remember? The Jordan opened up and they walked through. And then what was commanded them? From each tribe, one person should go fetch a stone and then build a memorial, like a monument. So that when the children asked, the people that were not there, that didn't experience it firsthand, what is this? They'll tell him, this is the story what the Lord has done. So that's another form of a memorial. Then 1 Samuel 7, there's lots and lots of them. 1 Samuel 7, again, the Philistines and the Israelites, they had a battle. They had so many encounters backwards and forwards with one another. And in verse 12, after they defeated them, then Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Shen and called the name Ebenezer, for he said, until now the Lord has helped us. He set up a stone, a memorial. Again, the Lord help us against the Philistines here. So this morning we're going to put up memorials and memories for where the Lord helped us. But it's not just stones. It's also this feast. He commanded the Jews to have a Passover. Why did we have to have that feast? To remember how He set them free from Egypt, from slavery. So every year when they do that, they will remember what the Lord has done for them. And then we have communion. Why do we have communion? Why did God say we must have communion? So that we can remember 1 Corinthians 11:24. And when He had given thanks, been broken, said, this is my body which is for you. Do this in remembrance of me. So that we can be remembered. So think with me. Julle moet nou saam met my werk. Julle moet nie saam met my praat nie, maar julle kan saam met my dink. Think with me. If you think back of your life, over your life, just maybe for a moment close your eyes. What have shaped you more? The things God did for you? Did that shape you? Or maybe the things you think God didn't do for you? The places where He didn't come through the way you expected. What are you more aware of? So it's important. You can open up your eyes if you like. or you can continue sleeping. uh, if we don't actively build memories and testimonies, and we don't have these things, what will easily happen is we'll be more aware of the bad things in our lives. And it's human nature. So all of you know the story. Hopefully I know the story about, it's in Mark 8. It's when Jesus multiplied the food. So that there's multitudes and multitudes of people. And they had no food, and he multiplied the food, and everybody ate, and there was even some leftovers. And then right after that, he said to his disciples, okay, we're going to cross over the sea. And as they were on the boat, he spoke about the leaven of the Pharisees. Die suurdeeg van die Fariseërs. And at that moment, they remembered, oh, shucks, we forgot to bring bread with us. And then Jesus made the following statement, Mark 8, verse 16. And then they began discussing with one another the fact that they had no bread. So remember what happened? They just saw a major multiplication of bread. Right after that, oh, we don't have bread. And Jesus, aware of this, said to them, why are you discussing the fact that you don't have bread? Do you not yet perceive or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Having eyes do you not see, and having ears do you not hear, and do you not remember? It's human nature. They just seen the miracle, and now they're aware of their lack. And Jesus asked them, don't you remember? Don't you have eyes? Haven't you heard? Haven't you seen? Can somebody be so stupid? Môre Steve, julle. Can one be so? If I look at the disciples and I think, yikes, guys, you've just seen the multiplication of the food. How can't you? It's less than a week. It's a couple of days. How can you forget that? Dink julle ook so nie? Huh? But aren't we similar? Who of you have seen financial miracles, provision of the Lord, that He just came through miraculously for you? Okay? And who of you are still concerned and worried about finances from time to time? Are your hearts hardened? Having eyes not seeing, ears not hearing. How can I start? If my own testimony is, if I can remember what the Lord has done for me, it's easy to have faith in the following crisis. But often, we get all worried and anxious about financial provision again. Why? Because we don't have a large enough memory or memorial to remember what He's done for us. And the same thing, who of you have seen miraculous breakthrough in terms of relationships and situations being solved? Yeah. And then the next moment when there's an awkward thing in a relationship, where do we go? Panic mode. How's this going to work out? Why? Because we forget. And I can ask the same in terms of healing or anything else. Who of you have seen miraculous healings? Yes. And then when you're confronted with somebody that's got a sickness or a disease, like, oh my goodness, are they going to get healed? Because we don't always remember what the Lord has done for us. So it's not to say that He's going to heal every time, and there's every time going to be provision, but I can't start my thinking of a place of lack if I've seen or heard about provision or healing. So it's interesting, He says there, don't you remember? So it must have happened with yourself. Eyes seeing, you've seen it yourself, or ears hearing. So sometimes I don't have to be first hand. All the memorials that were built, al die monumente wat gebou is, it's for people that were not there. So I don't have to have something happen to me first hand to believe it. I can hear the testimony of a reliable person. And once I hear the testimony of a reliable person, I can still have that faith and believe that. Haven't you got ears to hear? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to testify We're going to tell our stories to one another this morning so that we all might hear and be encouraged. And if there's nobody encouraged, if it, even just you telling your story, hopefully that will be a memorial. That will be like a heap of stones for you to remember what the Lord has done for you in this year. I think we underestimate the power of testimonies. We don't know how big a deal that is. And it's in so many ways. I'm not going to go into detail this morning. But Revelations 2 verse 11. And they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. What? These guys, speaking of the end times and all the persecution and all things, they conquered because of the blood of the Lamb. Yes, thank you for the blood of Jesus. And the word of their testimony. But if I don't have memorials, if I don't have testimonies, if I don't share that, then I've only got the blood of the Lamb. That's good. But there's so much power in our testimony. And I trust this morning, even if we few, that as we share our testimonies, that's my expectation for this morning. And if we can grab, I'm going to go into that just now, if we can latch onto one another's testimonies, and if I can make that my own, that in this morning, there's going to be incredible breakthrough and victory for many people because of the testimony of somebody else. You might overcome something this morning based on the testimony of somebody else. That's my expectation. So we're going to encourage one another with that. So often, in so many ways, I just see we struggle with that. Many times we would pray for people, even here in front of church, for healing or some kind of breakthrough. And they won't come back and testify about that. And then 6 or 8 months down the road we hear, oh, they've been healed or that breakthrough in that situation. It's like, why didn't you come and testify? Why didn't you come and share this? Because that's what we should do. Psalm 105. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds amongst the people. There's a command that we have to make known. We have to, if the Lord is doing something for you, we have to tell people about it. Verse 3, glory to his holy, verse 5, remember the words, the wondrous works that he has done, his miracles and his judgments he uttered. We have to remember that, but we have to tell one another that. We must speak it out. Psalm 66 verse 16, come and hear all who fear God, and I will tell you what he's done for my soul. So why do we don't want to do that? So here comes the uncomfortable part. This morning, I'm going to give the mic over to people to give testimonies. And then people say, no, I don't want to give a testimony, you know. Don't want it to be all about me. But if that's your thinking, it is all about you. It's not all about the glory of God. It's to come and testify and say, this is what the Lord has done for me. It's not about me. It's not what I've done. It's what he's done for me. And I will get over myself and share that. We're often in a false humility. I don't want to make a scene about me or what the Lord's done for me. I'll just keep it alone, quiet. But it's actually all about me. It's a false humility. We're not going to do that this morning. Ons gaan dit nie doen vanoggend nie. Okay, we'll see. So there's two things that need to happen this morning. This is where you come in, where you're going to participate. One thing, we have to have the willingness to come and share it. That's the one part. So that others can hear, that others can see the monument, that they can be aware of what the Lord has done. Because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word. So that's one part you need to participate this morning. The next part for us to have this incredible breakthrough I'm trusting for individuals, is I must be able to receive that testimony. It's not just, dis mooi Louis, dis 'n oulike storie nie. I must be able to receive that and say, if the Lord has done it for Louis, he can do it for me. I must grab hold of that. Or even if I can't grab hold of it, I must celebrate whoever comes here. I must be able to celebrate their victory as my own. And the Bible is full of that. We one body. If one of the body is suffering, all is suffering. But if one is rejoicing, all is rejoicing. So can I rejoice in his victory, or whoever comes their victory? Can I rejoice in that? Can I be so excited for them as if it were my own? Because in that I qualify myself to receive my own. That qualifies me. But if I'm just like, yeah, it's okay. Ja, kom ons, okay, mooi story, well done. Then there's nothing, it's dishonoring. There's no value in that for me. I don't know if it's up there or not, but Luke 16 verse 12, maybe in a different context, says, and if you have been faithful in wishes and others, you will give to you what is your own. If I can celebrate what the Lord has done for you, it qualifies me to receive it for myself. So we need to walk in both of those areas this morning. Are we going to do that? So it does not matter how big or how small the testimony is. If it's for somebody, for a child to receive whatever for Christmas, $100 might be for them a big thing. For you, it might not be a big thing. But can I celebrate that as if it was my own? And that's how we're going to worship this morning. We're not going to sing. I wanted to play guitar and lead, but Fred said it might be wise not to do that. Actually, I'm a professional singer, you know. People pay me not to sing. Now, but this is how we're going to worship the Lord this morning. By bringing our testimonies, what the Lord has done for you. It might be older than this past year, but let's try and focus on this year, but it doesn't matter. And bring it and share it so that we can receive. Build for yourself a memorial that way, a thing to remember it. And then the rest of us hopefully going to grab onto that. And we'll see how that goes. I'm not necessarily going to come in on all of them. But from time to time, we might activate some of it and pray for people in that same area. And that's how we're going to worship the Lord this morning. So I'm going to really need you to participate. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a song.